I'm pretty sure you noticed that as your analysis gets more complex and you have more and more commands to run, you feel that you need to keep a record of these commands and the order in which you ran them. To do this, you should create a do file, and you can do that using a do file editor. A do file editor is nothing more than a text editor embedded in STATA where you can save the commands you use in your session. Let me show you how to do that, but before we move on, please download the sample do file attached to this class. So back to the main window, the first thing I want to show you are the different ways of opening a do file editor within STATA. And there are basically three ways. The first one is to use a shortcut, which is Control 9 or Command 9 if you're on a Mac. Here we are. And it's going to open this window here, which is the do file editor. Let me close that and show you the second way, which is to use the menu do file editor, new do file editor. And here you can also see the shortcut we just used. Once again, here's the do file editor. Let me close this and show you the third way, which is a command called do edit. And press enter, and here you are. Now let me maximize this. And in the do file editor, I want to show you a couple things, which are the menus, and I want you to explore these menus once you're done with this video, because it's really the best way to learn how to use them. And here are the tools in the toolbar, which are new file, open file, save, and so on. You can see they're not in vivid color just because there's no do file open, there's nothing written here. And since you already have a do file, I don't want you to have to rewrite everything. Let's open our do file here. And mine is going to be in my project, folder I created in our last videos. And here is a do file. Let me close this tab here. I don't want to change this. Okay. Here is a do file. On the top of the tab, you have the name of the do file, which is 3.3, the number of this class, sample do file. And on the left-hand side, you're going to have numbers. And I'm going to use these line numbers here to show you what this do file is. So the do file is basically just a record of everything we typed in a session. I'm pretty sure we have used most of these commands, if not all. Maybe we didn't use tabulate or describe. So I'm also going to be showing you some new commands. And it's just a succession of commands that you can execute all at once, one at a time, or in blocks, just by highlighting them. The first command is the clear all, line 1, which you have already seen. The second command, change directory. Then we open a log file. We name this log file mylog.log, and we replace it because we already have a log file named mylog. Set more off. I'm going to skip this command for now. I'll explain it to you later. Once again, we're using an auto data set, which is preloaded in STATA. And to do that, we use the command sys use auto. And I'll give you a moment to try to figure out what is it that we're doing here, 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 and here. So from 6 to 10. Try to figure out what we're doing there. Can you see? In the first line 6 actually, we are getting rid of some variables, rep78, headroom, these variables that we're not going to be using for now. So we're just keeping the other variables. Then we are describing, let's see what this command is, getting a list of observations, inspecting our variables, and tabulating our variable mpg. Then we ask for a short summary of just some summary statistics of all the variables we have left. Finally, we save our data set and we call it auto underscore small. And once again, we add the command, the option replace, just like we did here in log, which is just telling STATA to overwrite any files that are named auto underscore small. And finally, we close the log file that we open here, which is very important also. Now I have a nice do file with all my commands written out in the exact order I want to run them. So how do I execute them? First, I want to run a group of commands, which is everything from sys use auto to clear all. Let's select this. I want to minimize this window over here so you can see the code being executed here in the background. So I highlighted everything here. Now I can come to this button here, execute selection do, or I can use the shortcut Control D. See, so I just selected a few commands and I use the shortcut Control D to execute all these commands at once. Another shortcut you can use is Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac, which is going to select your whole code. And then you can just press Control D, or this time I'm going to use this button over here in the toolbar, which is going to do the same thing, just to execute the selection. And note that a log file is already open, so I can execute this. Let me solve this by closing our log file, log close, enter. Let me go back to our do file editor and once again executing everything. Okay, so just notice, let's go back to the main window. Notice how everything was run here. From the very moment we chose here, do. This is telling you, okay, the do file is being executed, and then all the commands are executed and all the results showing up here. So just have a bunch of commands that you can see over here. All these commands were executed in the background. So note that we created a log file, which should be right here. My log, just created it again. And we saved our data set with the name auto underscore small. So everything was executed properly. Now you must be asking yourself, how about the command set more off, which I did not talk about? Well, this command turns off the more message that you get when the output of a command is too long to fit the results window all at once. Let me show you how this works. But before, we need to set more on. And let me use the command list, which is going to show you a list of all the observations that you have, and it should be a long list. Great. So notice you have a lot of observations, and they won't fit in the results window, and that's why you have this option here called more. You can click this option here, and just see more results. You can just press Q to interrupt if you want, the letter Q, or the spacebar or any other key is going to show you more and more. Let me run the command again. Just want to show you different ways of doing this. And you can also press enter to go line by line. So I'm pressing enter now to show you everything. So L or enter, letter L or enter are going to show you these commands all at once. And the last option is you should press any key that you want. I'm going to press T here, and you see everything all at once. Back to our do file editor. So anyway, I do recommend that you use set more off when you begin your do files, because you avoid that your code gets stuck every time you get a long list of results. So if you don't use the set more off command and you run your do file, you have to come back to the main window and either click the more like we did, once again, list. So you have to come back here and either be clicking more and more and more. Notice if I set more off and run it again, it's just going to run everything at once. So you don't have to worry about your code getting stuck. Back to your do file. You have the option of turning this more message, setting the more message off permanently if you want. And you can do that by adding a comma and the option permanently. So we can just select this and run it all by itself using, I'm going to be using Control D here. So look here in the main window that set more preferences recorded, and I just turn it off permanently, meaning that if I use commands like list, it's just going to go straight. I don't really have to set more off every time I come to STATA. However, there is one issue there. Suppose you are sharing your code with some other researcher and they don't have this option set more off permanently, and you don't add this. So what's going to happen? It's going to be like to have set more on and not off. So if you come back to your code and you execute it, then you're gonna get stuck. So let's say if you have the more options set off permanently and the other researcher does not have, and he or she is trying to execute your code, they are going to get stuck and they'll have to just come back here and do all this and probably change your code. Just adding the option set more off back here. So let me take this permanently off. And now we have set more back on and back to our do file. So just keep this in mind that every time you write a do file, I recommend you add the option set more off early on. And that's it for now.